Okay, so talking about disorders of childhood today. All right, so first we have our case study here of little Mark. So read this before moving on. Okay, so Mark clearly demonstrates an autism spectrum disorder. Autism spectrum disorders include autism, and the hallmark features of autism are impairment in social interaction. So children who have autism then, a lot of times they don't know how to interact with other people. They don't really have any interest in interacting with other people. Problems with social communication. They don't look people in the eye, for example. They might use people basically as a pawn, as an instrument to kind of get what they want, but they don't really have the interest in engaging socially with other individuals the way that typically developing children do. Repetitive behaviors, interests, or activities. So kids on the autism spectrum have a very limited scope of things that they're interested in. So for example, you might have a child who is kind of borderline obsessed with Nintendo, for example, or obsessed with, some kind of computer games. And they become very, very upset also when their routine is disrupted. So let's say that, they have all of their toys in a particular order. They become very, very upset when someone else moves the toys out of the way. They like everything to be very, very consistent, very, very much the same. Other repetitive interests, so this can include things like watching a fan, for example, as that goes around in a repetitive motion, right, in a circle, maybe watching a washer or a dryer as that also goes around in a very repetitive circle. They might do repetitive hand motions like hand flapping. That can definitely be part of this particular disorder as well. So disruptive behavior disorders, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, or ADHD, hallmark features here are restlessness, poor attention span, and that leads to impulsive and disorganized behaviors. So this is most commonly seen in boys. We usually see it at the start of school ages, so kindergarten, first grade, when kids are forced to, have to sit still, have to pay attention, have to do a lot of things that they'd probably rather not do, right? A lot of times we see that these kids have a really tough time paying attention, right? They don't want to, they can't sit still in the classroom. This can lead to impulsive behaviors. They might be throwing things. They might be blurting out answers. In terms of working with other kids, a lot of times these kids are not overly well liked in the classroom setting because they're always being yelled at by the teacher. They're engaging in these kinds of intrusive acts, which other kids might find annoying or distracting. It's like, you're, always getting in trouble for stuff. I don't need to be around you. Additionally, in their peer interactions, because they're impulsive, they're not always very good at understanding how their behavior affects other people. So other kids, don't really care for that in their social interactions. Okay, so we have a case study here about Elise, who demonstrates a particular type of disruptive behavior disorder, oppositional defiant disorder. So with oppositional defiant disorder, you can kind of think of these oppositional defiant and conduct disorder as existing on a continuum of disruptive behavior disorders. So with oppositional defiant, this is the less severe. Conduct disorder is more severe. But with ODD, these kids are defiant, right? They are constantly arguing with adults. They're losing their temper. They're getting angry. They'll do things to deliberately annoy and piss off other people. They blame other people for their mistakes and problems. It's never their fault. It's always somebody else. She made me angry. She made me do it. However, with ODD, although these kids are really, really obnoxious, they don't violate the basic rights of other people or social norms like kids who have conduct disorder do. So sometimes children who have oppositional defiant disorder, it will eventually develop into conduct disorder, but not all the time. So sometimes you'll just have kids who have ODD and that's it. Sometimes you'll have kids who have ODD, and then eventually it develops into the more severe conduct disorder. So with conduct disorder, then, these kids are very aggressive in that they are actually violating the rights of other people, of animals. These are kids who, are sneaking out, kids who start fires, kids who intentionally hurt other people. This can become more and more severe over time, possibly like raping and murdering. Destruction of property, so they basically destroy things that can go along with the fire starting. Conduct disorder also is a precursor to antisocial personality disorder. So remember, with antisocial, there is repeated law breaking, repeated violation of the rights of other people. And antisocial personality disorder requires that conduct disorder is present in childhood. So that indicates to us that this antisocial PD is a long-standing pattern of behavior, right? It's not like it just comes out of nowhere. All of a sudden you're showing these antisocial tendencies. Having conduct disorder previously shows that these particular behaviors demonstrate a pattern.